Hey everybody, it's Tafony here once again, and today I am rambling about. It is the 100th episode special. I wanted to say first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me at any point along this journey. I can't believe I have pumped out so many videos in such a short time. I can't believe how well it's been accepted. I know it hasn't been a crazy blowout or anything like that, but I didn't think anybody would watch any of the videos, and then I got a notification the other day that I hit 250,000 views in total over all of the videos, and as much as that kind of terrifies me to think about, it's also super exciting because I thought A, I would get a ton of hate, and B, nobody would watch them. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching them, liking them, subscribing them, all of that YouTube interaction bullshit that they constantly suggest I say. So, but genuinely, I love all the emails I get, all the Instagram messages, all the people asking me why they can't get MIDI to work on their Zeekel Mark III, everything. I'm just another member of the hardware music community like yourself, and I live for all of that crap. So, with that being said, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do something special for the 100th episode, and I was trying to think about what to do, and I thought I'd like to do two things. I would like to do something the same way that I did the first rambling about. The pre-episode 1 was a rambling about my setup, and I figured it would be a good opportunity today to ramble about my recording setup, not my Eurorack setup. I mean, I can talk about my Eurorack setup a bit too. It's not, nothing's changed too much on that front other than it's constantly evolving, but that remains constant in itself. But what I wanted to do as well is do an FAQ, open up questions to anyone who wanted to ask. So I have a bunch of them here, but a good segue for talking about, rambling about, as always, all of that is in the questions somebody asked me about my recording setup. So we'll go through all the questions, and then I'll answer that recording question last in the longest way possible, and I'll dive in deep on everything that goes into how these videos are made and my ways of keeping this as easy on myself as possible. So let's get into the FAQ. Someday I'll have animation and graphics and actual editing, and yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, I know I already said this, but thank you so much for everything, y'all. I really appreciate it. Don't take it for granted. And yeah, so question 1 I have here, this isn't in any particular order other than I moved that question about the recording to the end. So we're just going to go through it in the order that I compiled my list in. The first one is from KD on YouTube. They asked your favorite picks of modules and why. So next part, I'm going to be, you probably noticed that the cameras are reversed today. I'll talk about that in depth here, but we're going to move this one around. Say hello to yourself, y'all. And just going to talk about my modules. So I'll repeat the question. Katie asked your favorite picks of modules and why. I'd say my absolute essentials would be the SSF. Here, let's zoom in optically. SSF Ultra Kick, I couldn't live without. I need a kick module in my rack. I know you can do this with samples, but you can't get envelope outputs for side chaining. You can't noodle it on the fly. You can't modulate samples in the way that something like the Ultra Kick or another kick drum module. I also replaced it with the battering ram briefly and kind of decided to go back. And yeah, that is sort of the first one in the row. I wouldn't say that is necessarily number 1, but this probably is my number 1, Qubit Data Bender. When people ask me like why Eurorack, and I'm not out here to justify it, my answer usually is get an Electron box if you want hardware and don't hate your bank account. But I would say the Data Bender is like really something special that isn't available in other stuff. I know there's always ways in DAWs and Bitwig and probably something you could do on the Octatrack to make all of this happen. But for me, Data Bender presents something that I love, a sound that's really special and immediate in hardware formats. So Data Bender is a special one to me. I love it to death. I'd say that's like Desert Island one for me that I would never ever sell because I sell everything. I'd also say this is just an order of my panel. WMD Overseer, DJ filter. I live for this freaking thing. If you watch this show, you're probably sick of hearing those cheesy DJ sweeps, and I apologize, but I never get sick of them. I absolutely adore them. So, yeah, WMD Overseer. I don't think they make it anymore. They might have brought it back into production. I know they're bringing everything back into production, but yeah, just stereo DJ filter. Yeah, I live for that. Use it in every jam, which is not something I can say of even the Data Bender. Probably can say that of the Ultra Kick though. And then probably Modbat Performer as well. I think this thing is like so underrated. Nobody talks about Modbat Performer. And I'll also say I'm going to reference a very recent stream by EasyBot where he talked with Eric, who I believe is under the name of Serico. And they were talking about, and Eric was saying that, yeah, like nobody wants the DJ Pioneer cheesy effects that the Oxy Meta had was in that. I've never tried the Oxy Meta, but he was saying that, yeah, they don't really sell because, or they wouldn't make a guitar pedal version or whatever the reason was. He was like, because nobody wanted DJ effects except him. And to that I say, I live for the cheesy DJ effects. I'm like over the moon. And this also, as I'm turning on right now, is the master compressor on my recording setup. So until I can find another compressor that I get along with, that will remain the same. But Performer, I just think is like super underrated. It's like there's always multi-effects where they do multiple effects and you select one. The Performer does multiple effects at the same time. And I know that sounds really stupid, but like end of chain stuff, maybe I want compression and reverb. Or maybe I want reverb and delay. Well, it's something like the MFX. I'm not trying to make comparisons by swooning over it, but just to say that like Performer, you get all of these things at the same time. And I love throwing drums at it. I love throwing my end of chain stuff, and I have considered getting a second one. Anyway, that being all said, if your question was more about what's your favorite pick in like what would you get first, I would say if my system got stolen like that person on TikTok threatened to do, I would first purchase Pam's Pro Workout because you can't beat Pam's like for the function and the size, and the Eurorack hates clocked modulation for some reason. Pam's Pro, like that would be the first thing I would purchase. So yeah. That's always changing, though. I mean, the Vic X was also another thing that's just like, where do you get that in other modules, right? Where's that in I don't know. I don't know anything about DAWs, but where's that in other hardware other than Eurorack? I don't know. Vic X is really special. I wish it was mine. Okay, next question. Jake on Instagram asked, are you into video games? If so, what console and what games? Okay, I'm into video games. I think everybody's into video games in 2025. I mean, my mom's even into video games. But I'd say my favorite game of all time is StarCraft. I think StarCraft 1 and Brood War were the best campaign, the best single player, and the best soundtrack in any game, I would say. However, I did spend way more time in StarCraft 2 because I could actually play it online, trying to like play competitive in the ladder and everything. Your question about what console? I don't have a console, actually. I built my own PC. I'd imagine there's a lot of Eurorack building your own PC crossover. Yeah, I will say again to reference that EasyBot video, him and Eric were talking about the games that they had, and Eric said he had an Atari 2600 and EasyBot had a NES, but his grandma had a 2600 or some sort of Atari. Maybe it was a different one, but I had the Xbox One, not the Xbox One, the other one, the Xbox original, the one with the greatest load screen of all time, and my grandma had an NES. So that's my console history. I don't have any console right now, but yeah. Next question, Jono asked on Instagram why I like selling stuff so much. I don't. I hate interacting with people. I'm the most shy and neurotic person in the world. I do like supporting the band fund, though, and this channel. I like having new things to show on it, because if I wasn't so broke, I'd probably keep every single thing in the world and have a monster case. But no, I keep things in constant rotation because a hundred different. I didn't ever. Not every episode is on modules, but yeah, almost 100 different modules, and my setup is pretty small, right? Anyway, next question. Ember on Instagram. I think there is multiple appearances from the 1X team, so shout out the 1X team. Ember on Instagram asked if I'm going to get a mono machine. Well, I love the mono machine is probably where that question comes from. But again, I got to win the lottery first because I think they were like $3,000 probably US now at this point. Yeah, they're so cool. I wish I had one. I know Sophie, before Sophie died, did like a lot of her work on the mono machine and like anyway. Till then, the Digitone 2 will do just fine. Okay, George Locke on YouTube asks 3 questions. First, can you recommend any music that seems to be making great use of drum synthesis? I mean, Aphex Twin. Sorry if that seems like a cop out, but like, yeah, I mean, Aphex. Like, you gotta go Aphex. I mean, Autechre too. Like, when it comes to sounds and maybe like complex rhythms, I'd say those two. I know it's kind of cheesy, but like, I think without the insane melodies, those artists wouldn't be as good. I mean, I'd say like Blank Mass, Rusis Negative. I'm just thinking, or you know what is okay when it comes to rhythm. I don't. When we're talking about like synthesizing drums, I don't know if you're looking for sounds or programming, but Youth Code. I live for Youth Code, and I know they. Oh, and Kill Alters. Kill Alters is really. I know these are both Electribe bands, but yeah, I mean, I love syncopated. I love super heavy. Anyway. Those are. I could go on. I mean, I want to. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the band I want to talk about in a bit, because there's another question I saw about this one. So the second question from George Locke was, do cats believe in electric sheep? Well, I think they probably dream of electric sheep. And then the last one was, why don't I have a cat? I don't know. It makes getting evicted every year hard because you have to try and find somewhere that allows pets. However, some things in life are more important than searching for a pet-friendly place is worth it. Okay. Yeah, get a cat. Next question, Mold Slug, another 1X team question. We have on Instagram, how did you get into electronic music / synthesizers? The way I got into electronic music, because I was definitely originally like a Puritan, I guess, or like guitar music person. I definitely not. I don't know. I don't remember how strict I was in this theory, but I used to like definitely think that like like electronic musicians weren't real musicians because you couldn't play a power chord or whatever, and you're just hitting play on a computer or whatever, like really ignorant thing was. But sorry if this is gonna make a lot of you groan, but when I heard Death Grips, it changed my entire life, like in every way. Like I had never heard anything as exciting or good. Good. I don't know. I'd never heard anything as exciting as them, and I think the like having a real drummer over a rap band, sort of like I don't know, it just opened the floodgates because then I got into Blank Banshee, who was local. I know Blank Banshee was huge after, but just like getting into it opened my horizons to like, wait a minute, the things that I like about music aren't its aesthetics, it's the energy, right? And then I don't know. It all went from there. How I got into making it myself, though, was again, I was repairing during the COVID. I did a lot of like buying guitars and pedals and amplifiers and stuff and fixing it, whether it was like replacing pickups and stuff or like fixing amps or what have you. But then eventually somebody sent me, my friend was like, hey, you repair a bunch of electronics. There was a DX7 for $100 that the pitch bend wheel didn't work. The specifics of that are a little fuzzy. I think it was probably a little bit more and might have not been the pitch bend wheel, but it was something really stupid where I just pulled it apart and cleaned it out and fixed it up and then played around with it a bit. And I'm like, I don't know how to play piano. I'll list it on Craigslist. And somebody offered me a Digitact for it for the DX7, and then I got that, and I was like, holy crap, this is a world of fun. I guess I like. Wow, I love my love of drums is back. My love of electronic music started there. So I know it's a sampler and not a subtractive synthesis, but or not a subtractive synthesizer, but that is what got me started. So Bree asked on Instagram why it be like that. Well, sometimes it do. When is the Stutter reunion happening? Joe on Instagram asked me what my favorite Chimo flavor was. The only answer is potato and cheddar cheese. And if you pick cottage cheese and onion, you are a serial killer. Or if you pick the onion and no cottage cheese, I don't know if that's worse or not, but either way, you're still a serial killer. I'm sorry. And then my fiance asked me on Instagram, would you love me if I was a worm? Well, absolutely, but we might be busy being ravens together arranging our nest, like that video that I watched recently. So, with all of that, Seek and Tune on YouTube. Seek and Tune on YouTube asked me, what is your recording process? So I'm going to assume, one, that it's about the channel and not the albums, because the albums, I don't use any DAW. I don't know what I'm doing. I have gone into the studio for recording my albums with other people who know how to use a DAW. I know that is the stupidest thing ever, that you could have a home studio and not record yourself. But hey, here I am. That's how that works. Now, what's more interesting than that lack of knowledge is how Rambling About works. So, Rambling About, I'd say the basis of everything in this recording setup is that, like, it's really easy to do. I need this to work really fast. I need everything to be really streamlined, really easy, really straightforward, because I have a full-time job, I have a band I'm in, I have school I'm in, I have a lot of freaking things going on in my life that are on top of this, and what I want to do and what this setup allows me to do is to sit down and boot up the iPad and yap for half an hour, edit for half an hour, and then post it all. And that's why I've been able to pump out a video most, let's say I probably pump out 5 videos a week, right? It's maybe too much at times, because I sometimes I'm so excited about stuff that I just want to do it. And it totally fits into the blog or the podcast format that I strive to be. But anyway, that's just to say that everything here is intended to be super straightforward and fast. And that all started, like I said in another episode, how I wanted to do this for so long. I traded all this gear. I did a whole bunch of guitar gear. I did a whole bunch of different groove boxes before that. I had everything, and I always was like, I wish I could cover these for the YouTube channel. And I did play around a little bit with the doing guitar videos and stuff, but I have a background in video, and I worked on a community access TV show directing it and stuff. Shout out to you if you were involved in that at all. And I was always really wanted to be perfectionist about it, and not that I'm a perfectionist at all. I'm completely the opposite, but I was I want to shoot it on a DSLR and sync it up afterwards in Premiere, and I want to make it into this big thing, and I want to write scripts, and these are the things you have to do to get it done. And then 4 years went by where I didn't do anything because I was too hung up on how to do it. And then eventually I was just like, this is stupid, this is a waste of time, I want to do it, and I'm gonna do it in a way that works for me. And sometimes that has its downsides. What I've set this up with, basically, I bought the iPad. At Mariusz's recommendation, I got this Zoom AMS24 interface, which is a USB-C interface that plugs into the iPad. And what I do is not in post when it comes to mixing. I have a stereo mix in, and I have a crossfader that goes between the music. Here's a little sneak preview at the next episode. Hello. And the music. Sorry. Crossfading between the music and my voice on the fly with a little bit of end of chain compression. And it's great for the immediacy. However, I'll openly admit, sometimes it's not always perfect. If it's really hard in these headphones to tell how loud my voice is. And at times it's too loud and the music's too quiet. And at times the opposite is the case. But I need it to work this way, and it surprisingly works really well most of the time. However, there is some sort of weird phasing issue, and I haven't quite figured this out, that like I can't really hear my voice as well. Like it'll be way louder in the recordings than I hear it in the headset, if that makes sense. And for some reason, when I'm not going to go into super deep details on this super cheap interface, but if I unlink the levels, I can hear myself really clearly. And I don't know if that's like a phasing thing in the monitoring, and I'm kind of curious to see afterwards how that works out. But yeah, I monitor in on the interface, and then right in the rack, I have my XLR, and then in the rack, we crossfade. So crossfade, I can't speak today. So that's how I do it on the fly. And yeah, I really like that, and I really appreciate it. It would be nice if I was able to edit it after, and I know there's some sort of ways to rectify that I haven't quite figured out yet, but in Final Cut Pro, which is what I shoot this on and edit it in, you just get one clip and the audio. Now, I will also say on another downside of this thing, and if you have ideas of how to do or to get around this, Final Cut Pro for iPad is not perfect. There's been like 4 different times, and sometimes for the best, that I made a project that was so huge that it just like nuked it. Like the project froze and then I couldn't get back in, was like the case for like 3 of them, and I was able to get around some of them by like exporting them to desktop, starting a Final Cut trial on desktop, and then getting like it's not without its flaws, that's for sure. But 90% of the time, it works just fine. It actually it's nice for iPad. It has a monthly subscription though, which seems kind of bogus for like an Apple product on a Apple. But anyway, it does the job 90% of the time. However, when I first got it, I was super stoked on it. It had a multicam feature that syncs the video from this to the, so I wouldn't have to chop it up after in post. But for some reason, the Bluetooth syncing, and it always seems to like not be able to find the phone, and I had to reset it. And then like my devices are named like iPad 37 and iPhone 205 because they like just seem to like stop connecting to each other for whatever reason. So anyway, after like the 200th renaming of my devices, I like just gave up on even trying to use the iPad Pro Final Cut multicam sync, and I just airdrop it to myself afterwards and edit in post thereafter. So that all may change eventually, if there's a better way to do it. But really, like, the ability to sit down, yap for an hour, edit for an hour, be done is like critical. Because if this turned into like a sit down, film a million takes on a DSLR, sync them all up afterwards, and like it isn't possible in my life. But yeah, or at least it would be a once a month episode thing, which is not what I want to do. I want to be a member of I want to communicate constantly with the community. I want to have an ongoing discussion and cover everything. And I wanted, like, when I first started, before, I just kind of thought it would be funny to sort of like contribute to the encyclopedia of Eurorack media, if that makes sense, and just like be that nutcase who covered everything. But then people like talking, communicating with others, it just felt like I don't know, it just felt like the ongoing discussions and stuff, it just makes me feel more like the podcast sort of format is the way. And I really have, like I said before, I can't thank you all enough for watching and all of that. I've enjoyed it so much, and it has done a lot better than I ever could have expected. Yeah. I'm trying to think about what else to say. I don't know. Let's hear this MCO2. This is the Roland emulator through an analog filter. And it sounds so good. I haven't dove into it like at all, but yeah, just a little teaser if you're super keen and you're here. Yeah, I mean, as always, just like if you have any other questions that you want to ask that weren't in this video, there'll be an episode 200 soon enough, I hope. Yeah. I'm Tafony. I said this repeatedly through the video and at the beginning, but like, yeah, I never expected the warm response that I've got from all of y'all. So I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well, and I will continue to talk to you soon. I'll see you in episode 200. Take care.